All right, first we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to have them at close, but maybe next year. They added Anthony Davis, and this is giving them a pass. Like, I honestly, they should be in the playoff teams. Anthony Davis is going to be out another 7 games. He just started playing with Kyrie and them. They have not had any time to gel. They have all these issues with Nico Harris getting death threats, fans essentially putting on the metaphorical bag over their head. They're getting ejected for saying fire Nico. It's being run like a North Korean totalitarian state. So there's a lot of issues in Dallas. I don't know how anybody can overcome those issues when you trade a generational talent like Luka. Even the owner said, I didn't expect the backlash. And this is when you know that you don't know basketball, because when Shams announced it, everybody thought he was hacked. That's how stupid that trade was. He's 25 years old. He was on 5 first-team All-NBA teams. It just didn't make any sense. But in saying all that, they have a very deep defensive team. If they can stay healthy, if they can gel faster than the speed of light, they have a shot to get to the conference finals in the West. But I don't see them getting further than that. I just don't trust Anthony Davis's health this year. Seems like he's reverted back to his injury, his glorious injurious past, as it were. He played 70-something games last year, so we'll see. He's had a lot of, abductor issues and ab issues and what have you. So we'll see how it goes. Kyrie is the number 1 now. He has never fared well as a number 1. But if you put Kyrie at the 1 and you surround him with PJ Washington, Gafford, Anthony Davis, Najee Marshall, Max Christie's looked really good, I think you have a shot. But again, they're going to have to stay healthy the rest of the year, and I don't see that happening. The Nuggets have looked really good. I don't think they're a championship contender this year. They've shocked me, actually, because I thought they were going to be like middling 4, 5, or 6, but because of all the problems, the trades the Mavericks made that we just talked about, and everything else, I did not expect them to be the 2nd seed in the West. The Joker is playing insane again. He is breaking metrics. If you're going just by statistics, I think he's the MVP, but when you're considering wins and everything else and the numbers, you got to say SGA is the MVP this year. And I'm glad, because he's earning it. They're not giving him as a pity MVP that they gave Embiid, because honestly, the Joker should be going for his 5th MVP this year. But anyway, the Nuggets have played really well, and it's all because of the Joker. The numbers with him on and off are insane, as always. But again, they just don't have enough wing depth for me. They don't have enough shot makers. Joker cannot play 48 minutes a game, even in the playoffs. So I do think they're going to be a 2nd round out, or potentially their ceiling is going to be the conference finals, but they won't get past that. The Warriors are next. I'll have them as a play-in team. I think they're gonna scratch and claw their way into the play-in. I don't see them as a solid top 6, not in the West. The West is too deep. I do like the addition of Jimmy Butler. They've looked really good with Jimmy in there. I didn't think Jimmy was going to fit that fast, but he has fit seamlessly. I thought him and Draymond were going to kill each other. They have played nice, because crazy knows crazy, and they both know that each other's reputation is on the crazy side. So I think they're playing nice. They don't want to, it's similar with Kobe and Ron Artest playing together. I feel like you get 2 hotheads together, they're like, you know what? You're about my size. I'm not going to risk the fight. So they've played really, really well together. I like what Jimmy does on the post. He's also playing well when Steph is off the court, because they're off. When Steph is off the court, their numbers are awful. Now you slide Jimmy in there, you put Draymond in there, or whoever, and they're going to play well. They got rid of Kyle Anderson, who did not fit in Golden State. I don't know why that didn't work. Andrew Wiggins is one of the main reasons they won their last championship. So it's sad to see him go, but you don't lose wing size because you get Jimmy back. So it should be interesting. They're not going to get past the 1st round, I don't think, but I do think as a dark horse, they would be a very interesting bet to get to the conference finals. They do have that championship pedigree, and Jimmy has been known to carry lesser teams to championship, but the West is so deep this year, I just don't see how they do it. Houston is a mystery. They're an anomaly. I'm going to say they're just a playoff team at this point. They're a top 6 team. I don't see them as a chance as a conference finalist. They're too young. They've had too many injuries. Fred VanVleet is still been injured. Alfred Sengun has slowed down. I don't know if it's been injury or fatigue. He doesn't look as sharp and crisp. Jalen Green has played really well. They have a lot of other wing depth, and they do have really good players. They're just so young. They're so young. They need to get their ass kicked maybe in the first or second round, so they'll learn for next year. I think they're going to add KD in the offseason. I think it's the most logical trade, and you put KD on this Rockets team, and if they don't lose too much, I think that's when you become a championship contender. I really like their wing depth, their defensive depth, but I just don't think it's their year this year. Clippers they played well. Let's put them as a top 6 playoff team. I think they've played well. Jeff Van Gundy, Ty Lue, that whole coaching staff. I think they have the best coaching staff in the NBA. They've maximized the most. They made a lot of puzzling trades, trading Kevin Porter Jr. I just don't think that they had minutes for him. I think that's why they moved him. Trading Terrence Mann, getting Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't know what the vision is here. It seems like it's like a jambalaya with just random, pieces from the refrigerator that they're mixing and hoping it tastes good. I just don't see it. I don't trust Kawhi. I don't trust James Harden in the playoffs. Even Prime's James Harden, I did not trust. So I don't see much other than a first-round exit from this team. And this is what they've been the last few years. Norman Powell has been an absolute stud. He's been their best player all year. So it'll be interesting to see with that trifecta of Kawhi, James Harden, and Norman Powell. Good Lord, I can't just said his name. So Norman Powell, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard as a trifecta is a very interesting trifecta, but I don't think it's enough to even get out the first round in the West. The Lakers, give me a break. They're going to, I think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. Let me just start by that. They've lost their last 2 to 3 games. No, they beat Portland, and then they lost the 2 before that. Luka is still getting integrated. I think he's still disturbed by the trade. He did not expect it. When that shell shock is going to wear off, I do not know. He does not look like himself. LeBron needs to give him the keys. As a point of fact, he cannot be the best player on that team. Luka has to have the ball at all times. You cannot make Luka off ball. Make LeBron off ball, because it makes no sense. I don't see the point in trading for Luka if you don't give him the keys right away. And Luka is the last person announced, so everybody's aware that this is Luka's team, but LeBron has to get on board. And you think about the Miami Heat with the Heatles, they didn't get on track until D Wade stopped competing with LeBron and let LeBron be the guy at that time. And LeBron needs to do the same thing for Luka this time. Once Luka, I think that's the plan. I'm not saying that that's not what they're doing. As of right now, they're still letting LeBron lead. Let Luka lead sooner rather than later. Once he knows all the plays like the back of his hand, build the team, and then in the offseason, you're going to obviously add some rim rolling bigs. You're going to add a lot of other players that are going to match Luka's skill set, and I think they'll be better. But as of right now, this team, they're not even winning a first round series. I don't see it, and they're going to be attacked. Luka and LeBron in pick and roll is going to be attacked with no center. Give me a break. They're going to be sliced up in the playoffs. Memphis is a solid playoff team. I don't think they're a conference finalist contender this year. They've gotten their ass kicked quite a few times recently. The Knicks beat them by like 30 or 40 points. They've lost a lot of games that they should have won. I don't like the current construction of the team. Desmond Bane has been great as always. Ja's been very subtle. He's not been spectacular, but he's not really taking risk on his body, which has been great. He's been off of social media, which is a big thing with the Memphis Grizzlies. But I honestly just don't see them getting past the second round. I think the second round is their ceiling. The West is just so deep. It's going to be really hard to win and manufacture wins when you have a rookie center in Zach Edey, and they don't really have the best arrangement of talent. I think they need to do a little bit more tinkering on the margins. Maybe consider moving Ja potentially, but probably not. I think they know that Ja is their franchise. I don't see it, but I mean, there was rumors that he may get moved. So when there's smoke, there's fire. So we'll see. But I see this as a second round team. Minnesota is a play-in team, and what a drop, because last year they were a conference finalist with Karl Anthony Towns. But again, what happened to them is a warning to what is going to happen to the Celtics, because they saw the writing on the wall. They had to make a salary cap move. They're in a lot of trouble though, because now Julius has a player option. So their hope is that they can either do a sign, trade, and extend somewhere else, or that he decides to decline and just signs outright with anybody else, because they need those cap savings. They're going to have to sign Naz Reid. Alexander Walker has to be signed. They don't want to get into a worse contract situation. They needed to move Cat. I get it, but I think they should have moved him to salary dump and a few draft picks, and that would have been better. They wanted to kind of compete and get one first-round pick, so they got Julius and Dante, but I honestly think they should have did a salary dump, and I think that would have been better, but we'll see what they do. They're not going to make any noise in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards, as great as he is not Michael Jordan. He is not going to be able to carry a team in the playoffs, so we'll see. New Orleans is an absolute... New Orleans is next, and they've just been unfortunately injured all year. I don't know what to do with that team. I really don't. I mean, I've said I've probably said blow them, blow them up and restart. They traded Brandon Ingram. I don't know what they can do. I mean, Zion wants to be moved. I don't know. I mean, they need some kind of change. I just don't know where they can go. Blowing it up could make sense, I guess. Maybe rebuilding around Trey Murphy and Herb Williams. They have two really good wings. I don't know where you can move Zion. Where's Zion going to go? He wants to go to a bigger market. Maybe the Clippers would make sense. Maybe a Zion for Norman Powell trade makes sense for both teams. Who the hell knows? But the Pelicans are not going to make any kind of moves this year. In the offseason, will they make any moves? I mean, I think it starts with Zion, but we'll see. OKC Thunder, they are the favorites to win the championship over anyone. They've had the best record all year. They're on the top Western Conference, and they don't have double-digit losses yet as far as of this taping. OKC is deep. They have experience losing. They lost last year in the second round to the Mavericks. I feel like they're ready, but again, because this team, they're as young as the Rockets, but it feels like they're way older. They have big men now. They have wing depth with Caruso, Jalen Williams. They have a lot of different options. So I think they have the most. They can go big if you want to go big. They can go Chet at the 4, Isaiah at the 5. They can go small. You can put Chet at the 5. So they have a lot of optionality when it comes to the playoffs, and you're going to need that. They're all buying in. Maybe one round you don't play that much. The next round you're expected to play 40 minutes like a Caruso. I can see him playing one round and not playing the next. And I think they're all going to buy in. So they should be very interesting. If they don't win this year, it's going to be hard pressed because they're going to have to give SGA the Supermax. Jalen Williams is going to have to get paid. Chet Holmgren is going to have to get paid. They're going to have to start moving the outside pieces. So this is their best year. They got to win it this year. And then lose the pieces afterwards. You could be like a Nuggets team and lose expensive pieces, make that determination. I don't know what their owner is. I'm assuming you're going to be a billionaire, but I think you can win 3 in a row with this type of team, with their youth, their experience, and their good head coach and all the options they have. I think you pay to stay in the luxury tax with this team. I think maybe you trade Isaiah. Isaiah Hartenstein. He's a little bit too expensive. Maybe trade him to the Lakers. Get a young center in the draft that's cheap. They're going to have to get cheaper faster, sooner rather than later. So now is the time to strike. This is their best year to win. And if they don't win it this year, I don't know salary cap moving forward, how they're going to move forward. But we'll see. I definitely have them as the favorites to win the championship this year. I'm going to put Phoenix here. Atlanta seems to be alone here. They've been alone for quite a while. I'm going to say that they're outside the play-in. They've just not played well consistently. There's no dogs on that team. There's a lot of skilled players, but they play soft. They play like a JV team that's from the suburbs, and they're playing like, in urban tournaments, and they're getting punked with lesser talent. They need some dogs on that team. They need to, in the offseason, they're going to trade Kevin Durant. They already started whispering about him. Kevin Durant, sensitive ass. He probably already wants to trade in the offseason. There's already Brian Windhorst already so much is announced that it's going to happen. You can see the writing on the wall. I do think, like I said before, I do think Houston Rockets are the favorites because they have Phoenix's picks, so it's better that Phoenix gets their picks back. They're not going to trade Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is never going to win a championship. Not when on that team. They just can't figure it out. Matt Ishbia has made some terrible decisions. Trading for Bradley Beal was an awful, awful decision. He is now an albatross on that team. His contract is the worst in the NBA. He has this year 55, next year 55 with a no trade clause, so they're screwed. So I don't know where they go next. But trading Kevin Durant is definitely it. I don't know. You trade Houston, you get some of those young wings, some of those young players. You get your draft picks back. I think that's a good start. And then you take it from there. We'll have Portland. They're outside the play-in. They're not tanking. They are competing. I think they had like a 6 or 7 game winning streak. Chauncey has them playing really well. I'm very proud of the job that Chauncey's done. I mean, he's a former Knick, but everywhere he's gone, he's always been the smartest guy on the floor. He had a lot of turbulence. He was traded in his rookie year when he was drafted by the Celtics. He bounced around to different teams. He helped the young Carmelo come into the league. He won with the Detroit with Ben Wallace on that team. They could have won multiple championships. They only ended up winning one. But he's a really smart guy, and he has this team playing tough. He says, if you're content with losing, I don't want you on my team. I don't want losers on my team. He's really galvanized a team that should be tanking right now, but they're fighting, and he's creating a great culture there. So if they can add 1 or 2 more pieces, I think they can start being competitive, start competing for the play-in. And with this youth like OKC, like Houston, you can start building momentum, get some veteran leadership in there, and you'll do well. But I really like the future for Portland, and I'm very optimistic with them. We have another team on the outside. I would say Sacramento's on the outside looking in. The team makes no sense. They have no point guard. Everybody wants to shoot the ball. They lost by Golden State by 20, I think, yesterday. They just don't make sense. It's not a well-constructed team. I don't know what's the next move in the offseason. Maybe Sabonis is the next to go. DeMar doesn't make sense there anymore. I think they got to move their vets. I think they got to move DeMar. They got to move Zach LaVine. I know they're trying to compete. I know exactly what they were doing. They didn't want to look to their fan base and say we're not competing, but this is not a playoff team. This is not even a team that can win a game in the playoffs. I don't like their construction. They need a pure point guard. They lost De'Aaron Fox to Sacramento. They have just too many just shoot first type players. So we'll see what they do in the offseason. I think a total rebuild is in order, but they may not have the stomach for it. They fired Mike Brown for no reason. I mean, it's just not a good constructed team. So they got to figure out what they're going to do, whether they're going to go to the draft or they're going to try to deconstruct and reconstruct through trades. So we'll see what happens. The Spurs are going to be tanking, which is shocking because they lost Victor Wembanyama for the year. DVT, deep vein thrombosis. I do medical stuff, so I see this kind of stuff all the time. But yeah, he's going to be out the whole year. He may be out in the beginning of next year. His career is in jeopardy if it's a really bad issue. Chris Bosh had to retire because of this, so we'll see what happens with him. But their best bet is to tank right now and to get a good draft pick. I think they keep their draft pick if it's top 6. I don't know offhand, but and it doesn't matter regardless of whether they can keep it. If it's over 6 or under 6, they need to tank. They need to get the best record possible because you want to keep building for Wemby if and when he comes back. He's 21. I suspect this is not the end of his career. It didn't sound like that during the press release, but it should be really good. But yeah, I would definitely consider moving Wemby. Tanking to get more help for Wemby. They're building something really good around Wemby. They've been aggressive. They got Chris Paul. They got De'Aaron Fox. They have a really good Vassell, Castle, Harrison Barnes. I love their depth. And then if you add one more piece from the draft, like a really good, maybe a backup big or backup wing, I think they can be a top 6 team in the West when Victor's on his 3rd year, but we'll see. And the last team, the Jazz, it seems like they're always tanking. So wow, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams tanking. That's a high number. This is why the product suffers. This is why viewership is down, ratings are down. There's just too many teams rebuilding at once. Let's hope that this ends sooner rather than later. But the last team, the Utah Jazz, they have been the facilitator in the trade season as they always are. They'll take a bad contract for 1 year or whatever, as long as you compensate them. Danny Ainge is just building a war chest of 2nd round and 1st round picks. When they make that move to go forward, look for Lauri Markkanen to be gone. look for just all their veterans to be traded and moved. They have some good veterans that they can move and just completely go for a 10-win season next year. We'll see how it goes. But they're going to be making a lot of moves in the offseason. They're going to be very active as they always are. But yeah, so, wow. So I don't even have it. I only have the Celtics, the Cavs, and the Thunder as championship contenders. I downgraded the Mavs. I upgraded the Cavs. So I don't see anybody. I'm trying to see if I want to make any last-second adjustments. I think this is correct. There's, let me see, there's 3 play-in teams competing for the play-in on the East and 3 on the West. Outside the play-in, the Kings may have a shot, especially with Minnesota with all their injuries, to pass them. The Lakers as well, the Warriors. So there is a shot that the Kings can move up. I don't see the Suns moving up, but you know, Kevin Durant can get on a heater, score 45 a game for 10 games in a row. Who knows? But I feel like this is pretty close. I don't think I would move Milwaukee up, Indiana up, Houston maybe I would move them close, but maybe next year. But who would be in the second round? So if I had to pick an Eastern Conference team, a 4th to be moved up, who would it be? I don't even know, man. I think it would be Indiana if I had to guess. But then what team would I move up for the West? I guess as of right now, nobody. I mean, I don't know. There's just too many questions, too many things to answer. I don't see much movement here at all. I think this is pretty set. OKC has to face somebody in the Western Conference Finals. So as of right now, the Nuggets have the best chance as the number 2 seed. Rockets would be the number 3 option, I would guess, and so forth and so on. Anyway, fun. We're going to do another tiers edition right before the playoffs start, maybe. We'll see how we go. No, we'll do a playoff preview. We'll see. We'll do something along those lines. I think this is the last tiers list, but it's going to be very interesting. The NBA is always exciting. How will Luka use this year? Will he be able to take the torch? Will the Knicks be better with Mitchell Robinson and getting their team back healthier? Are they a threat at all? Are the Mavericks, can they stay healthy? Are they a threat? The Nuggets, can they win without much wing depth? There's just a lot of questions, but we'll see. Anyway, I will see you guys on the next one.